What's up there, kettlebell lovers? All right, so I'm going to let you guys roll in a little bit. We're going to get into a little warm-up before we get started. I'll introduce myself. My name is Alex Carew. I am a Strong First certified coach in level 1 and 2. I love kettlebells here. Some exciting things coming up. I have a Kettlebell Kings book collaboration. So if you like this, you'll be able to find this later on. And if you want to have more info, I'm going to have some nice kettlebell courses coming out. I have an email list on my website. It's theformulafitness.com. And you can follow my IG, Instagram at Alex Carew, ALEXKARU. And you can go find The Formula on YouTube. And I'll repost this all after, and I'll save it for after. So here's the game plan today. We're going to get into our warm-up, okay? It's a standard warm-up I do. You're only going to need one kettlebell today, all right? So I have the 28 here, but you got to scale up for your body. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about the swing and building up to that. And yeah, we're going to get into the actual swing in the workout. So I'm going to go through a lot of technique today. You're going to have plenty of time. There's no necessary experience leading into this anyway. So if you don't know how to do this, you will by the end of it. My goal is to get you swinging, so this just feels natural for you, okay? If you notice, I have this little orange bucket here on the side. This is chalk, okay? Chalk always helps with this, so the bell doesn't slip out of your hands. Okay, and that's going to be kind of it. Let me just do a little quick check, make sure everything's working okay. I think we're good. Yep, we are live there. All right, and then feel free. I won't be able to, as we're going here, I won't be able to chat with you as we're going. So if you do have questions, please save it for the end, because I will allow for a Q&A at the end, and we can run through any questions you might have. It'll be on both if you're on the YouTube channel or if you're on the Instagram live channel. Either one works, okay? But I'm really excited for this, guys. I'm really excited to share this with you, and I think it's time to get started, okay? So if you're here, we're going to get ready to warm this up. So what I want to do is I'm going to take you through what I call like my standard joint warm-up, and you're going to see I'm going to start top all the way down, all right? This is how I like to start every workout, my own personal workouts, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fists, I'm going to interlock them, I'm going to bring them, pull them down and back behind my back, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my head to my chest, and then I'm going to look up. Chin to chest, look up, chin to chest, look up, come back to neutral. You're going to look right, hold, and look left, hold. While I'm going through this, just a little warning, look right, hold. You might hear some planes or choppers fly by. Look left, hold, go back to neutral. Let's go right ear, right shoulder. I can't really take that away because I'm in a flight zone at this time. Like right now, I can hear some of the private jets going over. Let's go left. I think out of the Santa Monica airport. Yeah, I didn't even say where I am. I'm located right now. For those of you guys wondering, I'm in Venice Beach right now. Look right, Venice Beach, California. Look left. Good. We're gonna let that head drop. So let it roll out front. Keep it out front like your head's on a half pipe, one direction, and then go the other way. One direction, and then the other way, and just let the weight of your head do the work. One direction, and then the other way. Good. Let's drop that head down. Let's slowly bring it up. All right, so what I want to do is I want you to take your hands. We're going to interlock them out front. Now all we're going to do is you're going to halo it around. So I'm going to show you on the side. I don't want my head and neck to move. I want to halo it all the way around, and then I'm going to go the other way with it. Now, some of you guys that have used kettlebells before, you probably have done this with the kettlebell. Now, I know I have one laying there, but I don't like to do this one with the 28. It's just a little heavy. I usually like to go a little lighter, 16, 20, something along those lines. Yeah, now from here, what I want you to do is I want you to go out here. We're going to get into our Egyptian. So right palm's up, left palm's down. You're going to just turn and lean towards that right side. And then I want you to flip your hands. Left comes up and then lean towards the other side. And switch. So if you're just joining now, we're just getting into our warm-up. Switch. So hop on in. Switch. And switch. Good. So from here, let's bring the bottom of those fists together. What I want you to do is I want you to take a deep breath in, and then big one out, big hug. In, out, in, out. Let's go one more in and out. Okay. Now from here, what I want you to do is I want you to think like you're taking your sunglasses, and I want you to take them off, punch them out. So you're just taking them off and punching them out. If you notice what we're doing, we're kind of working through our way down. So we start with our neck, and I'm working through all the joints that are going to be impacted in today's workout. Good. So we're going to go one more that direction. Now look, you're going to punch them out, and now you're going to put your shades on. punch them out, put your shades on. Out, on, out, on. Let's go one more, out and on. Good. Now from here, let's make 2 fists. We're just going to circle those wrists. Big wrist circles here. Make a little snap, crackle, and pop. I always like the way that feels. Good. Let's go the other way with it. Yeah, and I like to do this because, again, what we're doing today, there is going to be a lot of impact on the joints, so I want to make sure that everything, you got enough synovial fluid going in there. It's fancy talk just saying that you're lubed up. Good. From here, stand on one leg here. I'm going to lift that right knee up. I'm going to bring it out and down. If you need to hang on to something, feel free if your balance is a little wavering, or just look at an unmoving object on the ground. In, out, down. In, out, down. In, out, down. We're going to go the other way. So out, in, down. Out, in, down. Out, in, down. And then out, in, down. Let's do that other leg. So in, out, down. In, out, down. In, out, down. In, out, down. Let's go the other way. So out, in, and down. I'm going to try to talk over when you hear the flight zone. Out, in, down. Out, in, down. Out, in, down. Let's go wide with those legs, hand on those hips. Let's circle those hips, first direction. So you start a little shallow and then go bigger and bigger every round. We got a nice day today. I don't know if you guys have been seeing, but over here, other direction in Southern California, it's been a little rainy, so we got a nice dry one for you today. And then the sun's even kind of peeking out. It's a little overcast, but it's nice, you know. Obviously, I'm, pretty much half naked here, so I feel pretty good in this temperature. Good. From here, let's bring our legs together, hands on those knees. We're going to circle those knees out. Good. Let's go the other way with it. And just be aware, if you find some of these areas are tight for you, you know what you need to maybe work a little bit more. Good. From here, again, if you need to hang on to something, fine. Otherwise, you're going to just circle the ankle, first direction, first side. Good. Let's go the other way with it. Good. Let's do that other foot, first direction. And then other way. Good. All right, now from here, some of you guys, this might be a little restrictive, okay? Do your best on this. If you need to hang on to something, make sure it's solid that you're not going to pull down, because I want you to sit into a squat here, okay? I have this kettlebell here. This is actually a really nice tool. What I can do is I can squat down. I'm going to take my elbows and pry them in, okay? Just open up my hips, okay? If you need to, though, you can use your kettlebell if it's heavy enough and use it to lean back. That might help you just be able to sit in a little deeper, because I don't want your heels up. If they are, probably go a little wider with your legs. And otherwise, if you can, just open up and go side to side. I'm feeling this. I did a little yin class last night. And yeah, my body's just tight my gut today. All right. Then from here, we can come on up. All right, let me just do a little quick check, make sure everything's working. I think we're good to go. I want to make sure the Instagram Live's working. Yep, it should be good. Okay, so we're going to get into it today. So today's class is titled Swing is King, okay? And it truly is, because I just want to show you, if you have the swing in your arsenal, it unlocks so many moves for you, okay? So what we're going to end up doing at the end of the class is going to look like this. Okay, just like that, okay? But if you have that in your arsenal, that means you have two-handed swing, one-handed swing, potentially clean, and then eventually snatch, okay? All of those moves are the derivative of that swing I just showed, okay? So we're going to break this down very slow at first, so I make sure you have a really good hinge. Now, the hinge pattern is the derivative of all of this, okay? So for those of you guys that deadlift, for those of you guys that are experienced with the swing, this might be a little refresher, but maybe you hear it spoken to in a different way. And the goal on this one is to make sure that you have it intuitively when you move through this movement, okay? So when you're doing a hinge, you just know where to find the bottom of the hinge, okay? And there's gonna be some tricks, especially when you're doing more of the ballistics, what I'm gonna end up teaching, okay? But that means I'm gonna start you on the grind first, okay? So for those of you guys that have a kettlebell, if you don't, it's fine, because you don't need it for this first part, but hopefully you do, because this class, well, it's by the Kettlebell Kings. You should have a kettlebell at this point. If you don't, go order one. All right, so right here, what I want to show you, I'm going to show you from a couple different angles. You're going to see me line it up pretty much right at my shoelaces if you're wearing shoes, okay? Now, I didn't mention this, but I highly recommend going barefoot here. If you have, I have a carpet here. I know it looks like I'm on like the cement here, but I actually have a carpet here. So I'm good to go here. But if you need a mat, lay it down, fine. But please go barefoot, because it's a very simple way. you wouldn't think, like, if you're an ice hockey player, let's say, you wouldn't do a back squat with ice skates on, would you? I mean, I wouldn't personally, okay? So why would you wear marshmallows on your shoes, aka like those heels, when you're doing any type of lift, okay? It's very simple. I always prefer barefoot training or minimal shoe training if you're in a gym. All right, so you want to line it up with where your shoelaces would be if you're not wearing shoes, which you shouldn't be after that. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I want you to just practice. You're not even going to pick the bell up yet. You're going to practice sending your hips back, okay? So this will be the first part where we start with the setup. So I want to make sure I'm in the whole camera, so I'm not going to move too much. But you're going to see me. I'm going to go step, step, and that's just to really firm my feet into the earth there, okay? It creates that proprioceptors up my legs, and now my body's ready to do pretty much what it needs to do in the hinge here. Now look, I'm going to take my hands, I'm going to drive them into my hips to send my hips back, all right? Now, my knees are unlocked. Now, if you're doing this right, you know that, or I should say, you know you're doing this right, is if you feel this in your hamstrings and glutes, okay? You know that it's off if you feel it in your knees. That means your knees are probably too far forward, okay? Or if you're falling back, you're losing your balance, you need to really firm your feet into the earth, okay? So you're going to see step, step, and you can follow along with this now. You're going to take your hands and drive them into your hips and send them back. Now here, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap the bell, not even going to lift it yet. I want to make sure that before I even lift it, I want to think about breaking a pencil, an imaginary pencil, where the handle would be. And then I just want you to stand, okay? That's it, really simple. All right, so let's try that again. Break the pencil, don't lift the bell, and then stand, okay? Now when you come up on this one, I want you to really think, really firm, pack the lats down, and then drive through the earth, okay? So that's your hinge right there, all right? This is going to be more of a grindy version, more of a deadlift, what you might be used to if you do some barbell work, okay? So right here, we're going to actually pick the bell up now. So same exact mechanics, okay? I'm going to go step, step, hands in my hips. I'm going to break the handle right there, nice and tight. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to drive through the earth while keeping everything locked and breathe out on the way up. Back down, send my hips back. It should go right back to that same spot where it started. Pack the lats, drive up, okay? This should be all the way to the ground. Okay, it's dead there. It's called a deadlift. Tight, drive up, okay? And the deadlift looks just like that. Now, a couple things to be aware of in this. Make sure you have good spinal alignment. Your gaze is slightly ahead and in front, okay? If you're looking straight up, it's going to pull you into this arch here. If you're looking too far down, you're going to go into that kyphotic state or rounded thoracic spine. We don't want that, all right? If your lats are packed, you can't really round it out, okay? So you see, as soon as I do that, I can't do that. The only way I can round is if I loosen my lats, all right? These become really handy here because it cross-laterally connects here. So if you do this right, we'll go 5 more, pack it tight, drive through, keep it locked. All the way to the ground, tight, keep it locked. There's 3, you got 2 more. 4, 1 more, and 5. Good, okay. So a couple things that I didn't really say, but I think are gonna be helpful for you, especially when we start moving on to more of the ballistic style, is think of your arms as rope and your hands are hooks, okay? Meaning they're locked, but you're not pulling them, because a lot of times I'll see when people come up, they'll start pulling their deadlift to finish the motion, okay? We don't want that, especially if the weight's heavy, you're not gonna win that battle, okay? So when you come up, you're gonna notice I'm locked, but my elbows are also locked while they hang, okay? That's a nice little cue for you there too, all right? So that's gonna be more of your grindy deadlift, your hinge, okay? So if you had trouble with that, go back and review it. You can follow the 5 there, listen to all those cues, they're gonna be really helpful, okay? But if you're doing it right, your hamstrings and glutes are active, okay? Again, I keep saying this is gonna be important later for the swing because all of the power that you're gonna develop and get from the swing are gonna come from your glutes and hamstrings, okay? So just be aware of that. All right, so the next stage, you don't have to do this one with me, I just wanna show you. Where the deadlift is more of a grind, the swing, as you saw, it's more of a power move, meaning you are shooting the weight up, okay? So you're gonna notice when I step right here, if I were to do a ballistic style deadlift, meaning like a swing without the swing, it would look something like this. I'd pack, okay? Okay, you don't need to do that, but you see, it's more of a power movement, and this weight's light enough to do this, okay? Especially if you're used to deadlifting, you're gonna understand what I'm saying with that. If you have a light enough weight, that's gonna be fine. But with the swing, we wanna create that type of power. So the next way I like to teach this, now that we have this here, we're gonna take the bell away again. We're not gonna swing it quite yet. We're getting there, okay? What you're gonna do is you're gonna take the same setup. You're gonna go step, step, hands to drive those hips back, okay? Now what I want you to do, just counterbalance with your hands out front And I want you to just get used to that ballistic and what that feels like. What you're going to do at the top, you're going to stand all the way and you're going to pinch a penny between your butt cheeks, just like that, okay? So you just come tall, pinch a penny between your butt cheeks. Let's try that again. So send that butt back, hold that hinge, and then up strong, up tall. Good. One more. Send it back, and then up strong, up tall. Pinch that penny. Check yourself. Do you have good posture? Okay. This is going to really help you because what you're doing ultimately on the hinge is you're creating that tension throughout here. Now, if you notice, I didn't really talk much about where my posture is, but by squeezing those glutes and my quads going on, that really grounds me to the earth, and it's going to push my trajectory downward, and that's what we want. We want to think about getting tall here. So with those lats packed, you should be fine there, okay? So in order to really drill this home, I want you to do this, okay? Where a squat, the hinge happens at the knees, okay? With the hinge, it happens at the hips, okay? So if you're actually jumping, you're not going to see an NBA player dunk like squat and then go for a dunk. I mean, maybe you do, but it's not the move because normally they're going to hinge and then they're going to jump because you just have a lot of power out of it because you're activating some of your biggest muscle groups in the body. So we're going to practice what I like to call a hinge jump, okay? And that's going to just be another way for you to develop that snappy power here, okay? So step, step, hips, and watch me first here. I'm going to put my hands out, and then when I come up, I'm going to come up powerful and just leave my feet, okay? Because that locks it into place, okay? So you can try this with me now. We're going to go 5 hinge jumps. Here we go. Foot, foot, hips in 3, 2, 1, and jump. Good, back down. Hold that hinge, and then jump. 2, hold back, hold that hinge, jump. 3, send it back, hold that hinge, jump. 4, send it back, hold that hinge, and jump. 5, good. Okay, so you can feel when you jump, you can't really jump without your glutes. If you could try it right now, you're gonna look funny, but if you try to jump without your glutes, you're gonna get about yay high, okay? If that, because you really need them to activate. All right, so now when we do this next version here, what you're gonna do when you send your butt back, I want you to jump without leaving your feet. So this is tricky for people, so watch me here first. So right here, you're gonna notice I'm holding the back of a hinge. I come up, and rather than leaving my feet, I'm actually gonna push my feet downward through the earth, okay? So this right here, I push it down. See how my heels, and be really careful on this one, because when I show this one oftentimes, I'll see people start to do that. I wanna make sure your heels stay down, bolt them into the earth. So try 5 with me, okay? It's like we're doing the jump without jumping and pushing our feet through the earth. All right, here we go. 5 seconds here in 4, 3, 2, 1. Send it back, and then up. There's 1. Through the earth. 2. Good. Send it back, hold. Up. 3. Send it back, hold. Up. 4. Send it back, hold. And up. 5. Okay. So if you did it right, like me, I have this carpet right here, so I can actually see the indents of going downward, okay? I'm trying to go all the way through the earth on that, okay? That's gonna really serve you when you actually start swinging, because that downward trajectory, when you use a really heavy bell, it's gonna allow you to really hold your ground, and you need to be really solid here and grounded to the earth. Okay, now that you have that, we're gonna go through all the stages of this swing. So just to give you a little preview, we're gonna end up getting to this phase, but I'm gonna take us through a few steps to get there. Right here, okay, and we're going to do what's called a dead stop pin swing. So dead stop swing, you just park it every time, all right? Now, there's a lot happening there, okay? Especially with the style that I'm showing. This is called hard style. Hard style means maximal power, okay? So I'm going to start out the first stage with the hike, just getting that bell to go backwards and that trajectory to go backwards. All right, so a couple things. I always like to talk about this. You can see right here, that's a triangle, all right? I want my wrists or forearms to be back here, depending on how long your arms are. Okay, mine aren't that long, so for me it is wrist, but for some of you guys it's gonna be more forearms. But do not let your elbows pass your legs, okay? Because as soon as that happens, you're gonna start to round. That's the only way that's gonna happen there, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, when we hike it back, we gotta make sure we have a little space between the bells. So let's set it just a little further forward. You're gonna see right here, I'm gonna go step, step, send my hips back, and then I'm gonna just tilt the bell here. Okay, that's going to be where we start here. All right, and then I'm going to actually say hike, and it'll look like that. You hike it back. All right, so let's line it up. Join me on this one. So we're going to go step, step. Okay, set your arms so they're pretty much right over the bell. If they're not, you're too close. If they're, if the bell is, if the hands are way over, you're too close. If you're too far away, well, then you got to move a little closer. I'm going to send my hips back. And I'm going to have the fingertips touch the handle. Now I'm going to tilt that bell. Hold this position. I'm going to slightly shift my weight back. You see that little nuanced shift back? Now, all I want you to do is get comfortable with hiking. So right here, you're gonna hike it right between your legs, find the top of the triangle. Hike, there's one. We're gonna go 5 of these. Hike, 2, and really throw it back there. Hike, 3, hike, 4, one more, hike, 5. Okay, so some of you guys might have been a little bit worried to throw that back there and really put it high in the triangle. I always say this, if you look at this thing, this beautiful piece of equipment, all it is a cannonball with handles on it. This handle allows you to pass. Worst thing that's gonna happen is gonna smack your butt, but that's it. It's gonna pass everything else because the handle's big enough where it's gonna pass through, okay? So you don't really have anything to be worried about when you're hiking it back. So with that said, I want you to do 5 more, but I wanna see you throw it back with just a little bit more authority, okay? So we're gonna go step, step, hips, hands, tilt, hike, hike, 2, hike, 3, hike, 4, and then hike, 5. Good. Okay. So quick little shakeout. All right. So you should be feeling this pretty strong in your hamstrings, maybe your glutes too, because you're holding that position. All right. So now that we got that part, we're going to start the part where we actually stand and actually make a swing happen. Okay. Now we are going to do a dead stop swing. The reason why I like to always coach this one first is because when we do this one, it makes your first swing good every time, okay? If you can really master this one, you're gonna have a good first swing. And this is what, I used to have a really, really bad first swing. Unfortunately, even after I was certified, it really took a lot of time and effort to improve this. That's why you see me do this whole setup and set everything, is because my first swing was pretty weak. So if you can skip that step, and it took me years to do it, hopefully you can skip that step and you'll be there before I am. Okay, so think about that jump that we went through before, right? We're gonna basically recreate that. So when we come up through the jump, but feet through the earth, okay? So you don't actually leave the ground. All right, so right here, we're gonna step, step. Now watch me here first, okay? Because I want you to see this. I'm gonna hinge my hips back, and on the bell, tilt the bell. All right, I'm gonna hike it, and then you're gonna see an explosive movement forward. I stand tall, control it down, and then I come right back to that tilt, okay? So if you're forward here, your weight's forward, you're in the wrong position. You should be in that tilt. Again, it's gonna look just like that, and then right back to that tilt, okay? So we're gonna try 5 of these. Try this with me here. I'll give you every cue I can to set you up. All right, here we go. Stomp, stomp. Hands in the hips, send it back. Tilt that bell. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Swing. There's 1. Hold the position. There's 2. Hold the position. Swing. Number 3. There's 4. I got 1 more. And number 5. Good. Okay, so some things that happen on there. If your form was a little weak, it's likely because you weren't finding the ability to lock it out, okay? So come back to that jump. If you think about jumping, you can't jump without your glutes. Make sure you're pinching the penny between your glutes on this next set, okay? So we're gonna go 5 more of these dead stop swings, and then we'll move it on from here, okay? So I'm gonna show you from the front here. So I'm gonna go step, step, hands in those hips, send it back, tilt the bell, shift that weight back, swing, back through, park, swing, back through, and stand firm and strong. Swing, there's 3, swing, number 4, 1 more, swing, and 5. Good. All right. So for this next set, a little shakeout here. Breathe a little bit. I could use it. Okay, so for this next set, you're gonna notice a couple things. 1, I'm doing some things without saying breathing, okay? That's number 1. If you can match your biomechanical breath, that's where you have that TSSST noise, okay? That's gonna be explosive. Now, what I love about the swing, it's the closest. If any of you do any martial arts out there, you'll understand this. If not, you'll still probably understand this. It's as close as you can get to throwing a punch without throwing a punch. And the reason why a lot of people that do martial arts type training like this, because so much of it's timing. And what I mean by that is when you're throwing a punch, a more efficient way to throw it wouldn't be holding the tension, throwing it through. It'd be slow. It'd be at the last second. But obviously, if you're a fighter, you wouldn't really necessarily know that unless you actually have like a slow-mo camera focusing on their hands, and they wear gloves, so you're not going to see that. But that's going to be a much more efficient, faster way to throw it. With this, it's the same type of thing. It's about tension release and then maximal tension. Okay, and the beautiful part about this is at the top, you should be in all tension, okay? So what I want you to focus on this next set is going to be breath, that TSST. It's, okay, try it with me because I want you to feel your stomach here. Okay, do you feel what's happening? You're creating a contraction every time you make that noise, okay? As soon as you hinge, that's where that breath happens, okay? That's gonna make sure that your stomach turns on and that bell goes flying, okay? So we're gonna try 5 more there. All right, here we go. 5 seconds here. 4, 3, 2, 1. Step, step, hips. Pull the bell back, swing, back through, swing, back through, swing, back through, swing, back through. 1 more, swing, and then back through. Very nice. Good. Okay. So hopefully that's making more sense with you. Okay. What I want to talk about before I move you on to actually flowing through the swing and actually allowing you to take the training wheels off, take it away from the dead stop swing, I want to focus on something I like to call the hard style plank. Okay. And all that is, I'm just going to move this back here. I'm going to have you in an elbow plank here. Okay. Now, what I want you to do, and this is going to make sense once I get you to stand up again and you're at the top of a swing. Think about the top of the swing and this move, okay? You're going to take your elbows back, and you're going to drive your toes forward, and then also turn your glutes on, and everything's locked into place there, okay? Now, glutes on, abs, quads, elbows back, toes forward, okay? Looks just like that, okay? We're going to turn it on. I'm going to just have you do, I don't know, we'll do about like 15 seconds or so, but I want you to feel this one because you're going to see when we do this at the top of the swing, transfer what we're doing here on the ground to that, okay? All right, and also too, I always like to say this before we go. Hold on a second. The longest, I think, record plank is 8-9 hours or something like that. I am telling you they didn't do a hard style plank because you wouldn't be able to hold it that long. You'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so line it up. You can have the elbows slightly ahead of the shoulders, just slightly, because they're going to end up going back into place anyway. All right, that's to tighten your lats. Let's line that up. We're going to bring the toes forward, elbows back in 3, 2, 1. So pull elbows back. So you're creating a wedge in the stomach. Toes forward. That's it. Quads on. Glutes on. Are they on? Hold it tight. Keep holding. Come on. Elbows back. Toes forward. Keep holding. Keep holding. And rest. Good. Okay. So the beautiful part about that is when you're turning that on, that's the top of the swing. Every single muscle in your body was on. Same thing. What we're going to focus on next at the top here is going to be lats. Okay. So the lat muscles right here are going to, again, what's going to cross-laterally connect with your stomach. So when you come up, you're going to see I'm tight in there, okay? I turn it on, all right? So for this will be the last set of dead start or dead stop swings I do. And then I'm going to bring us into the actual flow of the swing. All right, here we go. Let's line up. Last ones. Pay attention at the top to those last and that hard style plank. 5 seconds here. 4, 3, 2, 1. So step, step, hips, tilt, swing, lats. Back through, swing, lats. That's it. Swing, lats at the top. There's 3, swing, 4, 1 more, swing, and 5. Good. Cool. All right. So quick little shakeout. All right. So you probably feel a lot more tension there. I know I did. All right. It means you're probably doing this right. Okay. So we have our dead stop swing. I'm going to move us on to our actual swing. And this is where, rather than parking it each time, your first one should look like that, but then you get to keep it flowing. Okay. So that means all I'm going to do at the top, I'm allowed to come through, swing, and just keep it flowing. Okay. I can't do it in slow-mo. That's why I'm going to show you this way. All the same cues apply. Downward trajectory. You want to be tall at the top, pinch the penny between your butt cheeks, turn your lats on, okay? All right, let's line it up here. And remember, again, I didn't mention it, but just this is a previous cue. At the top, that breath, okay? As soon as you hinge. All right, here we go. Let's do it. Step, step, hips, okay? And watch me on this one first, okay? You don't need to do this one. Just watch on this one. All right, so I'm tilted right here. So what's going to look like. Okay. So if you notice, I keep the flow going. All right. I just swing it right back through. And again, a couple things to pay attention to. All the breath is on. When I go back through, my elbows are never going beyond my legs. Okay. Hopefully that cue helps you if you're getting that rounded back or you feel this pulling on your back. All right. Just keep this section right here. It's It's called the cylinder. Keep this packed at all times, okay? And remember, it's an outward trajectory. When I say packed, it's not in, it's out. That breath, see? It turns it on right away, okay? All right, let's try this together here. Let's go for 8 swings, okay? Because I want you to find a flow in this one. If you mess up, just park it. Worst comes to worst, drop the bell. Hopefully you're not gonna break the floor below you. I'd rather you hurt the floor because you're not gonna hurt the bell. This thing's gonna be around forever. Drop the bell, but not your body, okay? Take care of your body first. All right, here we go. We're gonna go 8 reps. Step, step, hinge, hands, lats. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 more. 6, 7, 8. Good, and park. Okay, so for some of you guys, that might have felt a little bit more like it flowed because you're not putting it down every time, all right? Even for me, I can already feel my heart rate's a little bit higher there, all right? So you might feel that too. And if you didn't know, swing is king. We're gonna do a lot of these today if you didn't realize this already. So I already know I can feel it in my hamstrings. I'm gonna feel this tomorrow. You probably will too if you're doing the right weight. Okay, so for the next part here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line you guys up and I want you to pay attention to, this is a small detail, but this is the nuance of the swing where when you can get this one, your swing's on, okay? You're gonna notice that hardstyle swing that you get to at the top where everything's locked into place, it's gonna sound funny, even though all of the tension's at that top there, it's technically your resting point because you did all that work, that bell should shoot out, then all you're doing is receiving it. And what happens is you have this beautiful little stage of it called the float, okay? The float is where the bell just sits stationary, okay? It doesn't move. And I always say, enjoy the float, okay? Enjoy it at the top there, right? So when you finish that out, all your hard work's done. You just have to make sure you stay locked in. You're in that. It should be about, I didn't really mention this, but if your lats are locked in, it's not gonna go much higher than chest height, okay? You don't need to go overhead because that means your lats are unlocked. If your lats are locked in, it's gonna be pretty much no higher than there, okay? So pay attention to the float, okay? And then if you're keeping track at home with the float, notice that I'm doing that breath out. On the way back, it's a quick inhale in. So it's in the nose and then, okay? So I'm gonna make sure that my biomechanical breathing's on. I'm breathing with the backswing and then on the way out, and I'm gonna enjoy that flow where the bell just sits, all right? See if you can match it on this one. All right, we're gonna go 8 more swings. Here we go. Let's go step, step, hips, hands, tilt, pack those lats. Let's swing. 1, enjoy the float. 2, look, it just sits. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Good. Okay. That looked really good right there. So that float is a really, really nice cue. And again, I can't really show you in slow mo because all that power happened, but you see, everything's locked in. There's still a lot of tension there, but that is your rest phase. Okay. The last part I like to talk about with this, again, a little nuancy. I'm not there to catch it, but what I'll do with people sometimes is I'll have them swing and I'll catch the bell at the top, but I won't tell them I'm going to catch it. When I catch it there, I'll pretend to drop it or drop it, okay? The goal is to not allow your hips to hinge back right away. You want to delay it until the last possible second, okay? Think of your hamstrings as like a slingshot, okay? And what's happening here, when you hinge back, you want to be in and out. Again, we're like efficient fighters out there. We don't want to be under tension too long. We want to get in and we want to get out with that little slingshot. So when you're at the top here, when your hips hinge back at the last possible second, then you're out of here, in and out, okay? Again, I can't really do this in slow-mo, but the way I like this described, or heard this described, it's like you're playing chicken with the bell with yourself. Last possible second, okay? So this last phase here, pay attention to the float, and then pay attention to delaying the hinge, okay? So allowing your hips to go back at the last possible second, all right? Let's go with 10 swings here, might as well. All right, here we go, 5 seconds here. Let's line it up. Hit, step, step, hands in those hips, tilt the bell. 1, 2, enjoy that flow. 3, 4, delay the hinge. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good, okay. So, a lot of boxes checked. I know there's so many cues here, okay? And I know there's a lot to think about. You're breathing, you're delaying a hinge, you're enjoying a float, you're getting tall at the top, you're holding a plank, all those things. You gotta make sure you're pinching the pain between your butt. But if you're doing it right and you just hit that, Well, that's hardstyle swing where it's maximal tension at the top, okay? And this is why swing is king. If you can do this move, like I told you at the beginning of class, it unlocks so many moves because it is a ballistic hinge. So if, again, I'll show this again. If you could swing, two-handed swing, eventually you'll be able to single arm swing, single arm clean, and then single arm snatch. All those are the derivatives. So you saw it's that ballistic hinge. If you have this, this is why swing is king. You unlock this, you unlock your life, okay? So that's gonna be pretty much all I have to teach you, okay? We're gonna do a little workout here, and you've done a lot of swings, so I'm not gonna crush you on this one, okay? What we're gonna do is I'm gonna have a running clock. So this would be similar to like a kettlebell complex, but we're just gonna do a two-handed swing, okay? And what I'm gonna have you guys do is you're gonna go 5 on the 30 seconds, okay? First round, you're gonna love it. It's gonna feel super easy. Second round on the 30 is gonna go 10, and it's gonna go 15 and 20, but it's still on the 30, okay? So what if you are keeping count at home? 5 reps in 30 seconds, not bad. 10 reps in 30 seconds, still pretty good, not bad. 15 reps in 30 seconds, okay, but then from 15 to 20, you're not gonna really have much of a break, so just be ready to go. Now, if you do this right, and you're on exactly the 30 seconds, I'm gonna do my best because I have a running clock here. You should, once you get to the 20, it should be done at exactly 30 seconds. Some of you guys with a little bit of longer arms, you might be slightly beyond, but if you're around that point, you know you're kind of doing it right, okay? So I'm gonna set the clock here just to get us ready, and let me make sure everything's working. Okay, so what we're gonna do on this, again, this is the actual workout. So if you're done, take a break. I'll see you around at the Q&A. But if you want to do the actual swing workout, you still want some more swings or you're pretty good at them, try this workout with me, okay? So again, we're going to go 5 swings, and we're going to increase it by 5 every 30. All right, let's line it up. We got 5 seconds here in 4, 3, 2, 1. First round. 5 swings. Good. And that's 5 for me. So I'm not going to count you here because I don't want to screw up your timing, okay? But you just shake it out. You're going to stay fast and loose. So that just means keep moving. Don't let that lactic acid build up. So we got 10 seconds here. We're going to move on to 10 swings in this next round. All right, here we go. We got 5 seconds here. In 4, 3, 2, 1, 10 swing. Good, so that's 10 for me. Okay, so quick shake out, not as long of a break. All right, we got 10 seconds here. We're going on 15. All right, here we go. 5 seconds here. In 4, 3, 2, 1, 15 swing. Good. Now, only if your form looks good, 20 swings. 5 seconds here. In 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. And that's 30, 20 for me. I'm right in the 30. Okay. If you're like me, breathe. I'm gonna walk and shake. Let my heart rate come down. Okay. So I'm only gonna do that. What you could do, if you're keeping track, you want a little workout of the swing, you take a minute off, okay? So when that time's up after the 20 swings, 1 minute, you repeat it. I never do more than 3 rounds. And if it's easy, it's not obviously, my heart rate's really high, I will go 2 rounds and 3 rounds, okay? I never go more than 3. If I am able to, the bell should be higher, okay? But that's gonna be scaled to you, okay? For you guys that are new to swing, if you're in this class, you might be, just work with that. If you really take the time to master those steps, go back and watch it, try it again, you keep going there, okay? Now, I'm gonna let my heart rate come down a little bit because as you can tell, I'm breathing heavy, all right? So guys, thank you again so much for this. We're really gonna let that heart rate come down. I always like to end with a little bit of breathing and meditation. It's not your thing. It doesn't hurt to just sit and take some breaths, okay? But it's how I like to end everything. But before I do, I gotta really make sure that my heart rate's within reason. General way to judge it, for those of you guys that aren't fancy like me with those Apple Watches, just when you can have a normal conversation when you're not huffing and puffing like me, okay? Yeah, for me, I'm about within reason. I think that feels good. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a seat, comfortable cross-legged seated position. For those of you guys that maybe have a chair, you can sit in that. I just want your spine straight. So if you need to lean your back up against something, totally fine, okay? What I want you to do is either put your hands up in a receptive manner or yogi fingers. We're gonna sit tall. I'm gonna close my eyes. I'm gonna take a deep breath in the nose, fill my belly up, and then out the nose. In the nose, out the nose, even deeper in the nose, and out the nose. Start to feel yourself come down, feel that heart rate dropping. All the work you did, just start to bring yourself into this breath and into this moment. And really feel that breath coming all the way into your belly. Good, just keep feeling the mind start to relax. If you're thinking about things, what you have to do or what hasn't been done, I want you to just take that out and just bring yourself to this breath, to this moment right now. Just be and just breathe. Good. And while that breath's staying deep, keep your eyes closed. I just want you to start to bring awareness back in your body, where you are in time and space. And if you could, keeping your eyes closed, I want you to take your hands and put them over your physical heartbeat. I want you to feel your heartbeat beating for you. This little ticker right here is going to beat for you 100,000 times on average today. Maybe you feel like it needs something right now. Give it back whatever you feel like it needs. Good. From here, you can just take your hands to a prayer position. Keeping your eyes closed, just bow your head. And I want you to pick one thing in your life right now, if you thought about it hard enough, that you could truly, truly be grateful for. It could be a person, it could be something you're excited about, your next smoothie, whatever it is, I want you to just find something in your life that you're grateful for. Good. No rush when you finish that. Hands back to those knees. No rush here. When you're ready, you can gently open those eyes. Ooh, and great work, everyone. I hope you enjoyed Swing is King. I know I did. Again, I gave you the complex. If you want to go back and do that, you can do multiple rounds, usually not more than 3, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to get into a Q&A. So if you have questions on that, because I wasn't even able to really interact with you during this, I'm going to flip the camera now on the Instagram Live, and I'll be able to answer the questions you might have, okay? So feel free to start bringing them on. All right, let me flip this. Okay. So now's the time. I'm not going to scroll, but I am going to, let me see, chat. Okay. So it looks like I'm only going to really be able to go on Instagram Live for this, but if you're on YouTube, let me just see. Hey guys, I'm going to just type to you. All right. How do you recover beat? All right, so Shay Beats asked me, how do I recover from that or from soreness because my muscles always feel sore? That's a great question. Recovery is really important, and everybody is a little bit different with what recovery looks like. I mean, for me, I know massage therapy really helps. I foam roll. I do a lot of mobility work. I was telling some of you guys that I just did a yoga class last night. I really, really value mobility. Those things are really helpful for me. Anything where I can elongate the muscles, foam roll, get massage therapy, so compression therapy. And honestly, that little meditation at the end is always really helpful also. Yeah, those are some of my tricks. Obviously, good nutrition and sleep. Sleep is probably the number one thing. Let's see. Oh, hey, from France. I'm glad you got value on this. Let's see. I'm just going to look at some questions. I'm on YouTube now for those of you asking there. It's very well presented. TV other than playing chicken. What other cues do you? Okay. So the question is, what other cues do I have to not backswing too early? So if you do have a coach, what I was saying to you, that's a really good question. I said play chicken with yourself at the last possible second. Okay. What I also like to think about is receiving that bell. So when you start moving really heavy bells, you actually are only going back into the hinge, but you're going to actually see the trajectory of the bell go somewhat down. So it's not a squat. You're still in this hinge, but rather than what we were really working here, you're going to receive it. So knowing that I'm like almost receiving it almost like a shock absorber, that's like a good way to think of it. So when you're going back at the last second, I receive it and it's almost like ready to spring out of there. Okay. So that's a good question. Definitely playing chicken with yourself is good. If you have a coach that can help catch it and then fake and see if the hips go, because the goal is to stay locked when I go to drop it. Okay, so that's a good question there. All right, let me see what else we have. Let's see. Also in the insert, is it an active insert or is it the insert or let the kettlebell swing on its momentum? Okay, so that's a good question. So where with the bell, what is the final position of it? Okay, so I mentioned it kind of in passing, but the height of the bell is determined by the lat tightness, okay? The only way you can start to go above, like way above your chest, is if you start to loosen your lats. That means these have to come out in order to allow you to go overhead. If your lats are on, you're not going to be able to go much higher than that, especially if the bell's heavier, okay? So that should be the final position of the bell. For those of you guys on Instagram Live, I'll take some questions on there. If you guys have any, feel free to ask whatever questions you might have, because I want to make sure I get to everyone, because I know hey, from Oklahoma, I see you in here. Thanks for coming out. All right, let's see. What do we got? Okay, all right, so we have, as far as grip goes, are you rotating your forearms, elbows inwards, outwards, or keeping them loose? Sometimes I get a bit of tennis elbow feeling from with the extending the swing. That's actually a really good point. As someone that's battled golfer's elbow. It's just on the inside there. Tennis elbow is more on the outside. So I talked about breaking the handle of the kettlebell, at the beginning there. But at the top, you don't necessarily need to death grip it. But if you are having a hard time activating your lats, if you think about breaking the handle there too, that's a really good drill to start early on the swing. Okay, that could be really helpful for some of you guys, making sure that you're really tight at the top. And again, it's just going to lock those lats into place. So what ends up happening when you do that, your eye of your elbow internally, or I guess you could say externally, starts to rotate, but it's not going to go fully like this, because unless you're Superman, you're probably not going to break the actual cast iron. Okay, good question there. What else do we got? Let's see. Yep, you're welcome. I'm glad that we were able to help. It says, let's see. So on the insert, is it? So you keep asking in the insert. Are you talking about the setup? Because you say the lowest final position. Insert. I just never heard that terminology. So I'm assuming when you're set up and you're actually like holding the bell in the window. I think that's the question. But I can talk about the lowest final position. So on the backswing here, you're going to notice when I'm going backwards here, my back position there is what I was saying, that your elbows don't go beyond here, but I talk about this triangle in here, right? So the triangle is at the top point. So for me, it's my wrist. For some of you guys, it's going to be forearms if you have longer arms, okay? In the back position, that bell should be pretty much right through here. You should see it here at the bottom popping out, okay? So that's going to be the back position there, okay? And that would be technically the backswing position. But if you're talking final position, when you park it, you're just in that tilt, okay? It's just that hinge. That's why we went over that at the beginning. Another good question here. What else do we have? Anyone on Instagram Live? You got any questions for me? Let me see. Okay, here's one. Question about the elbow bang while at the top of the swing. Oh, elbow bend. Okay, I know that's a great question. So the question is, what about the elbow bend at the top of the swing? Now, I'm going to show this real quick because that's actually a really good one. I didn't really discuss that. Ideally, you stay locked out. Now, if the bell's light enough, you're going to be able to do it. It's not necessarily required that you have, because you don't want to necessarily lock your joints and bang them if it's a really heavy bell. Okay. So for me, this is, I guess at this point, relatively light, but I might not be in a full lockout, but ideally if I'm doing a lighter bell, you would be. So if you watch at the top, look at my elbows, they're pretty locked. Okay. Maybe there's a slight bend, but it would be like, this would be like my position. I don't know if you could see it. That's locked. I'm like there. Okay. So you want to be relatively locked. What I don't want to see is full bend and what I call dinosaur arms. Okay. That's where it looks like that, because now you're not going to let that bell fly. You're going to lack power and there's going to be no arc on the swing. Okay. That's a good question. Thank you for that one. All right. And then, do you have any stretches and routines on your page? I do, actually. So on theformulafitness.com, if you go there, I have a tab called Informulation. Okay, it's like information, but it's the formula. Everything's, scientifically themed. You can go on Informulation. There's one called Flexi. Okay, if you like that and you like the meditation, you can go on there. Those are free. Feel free to go at it. I have a foam rolling one on there too. For those of you guys that are newer to the foam rolling, it could be really helpful for you also. If you want to learn how to do pretty much a full body foam roll. The Flexi is only about like 20 something minutes. So it's pretty quick, but it's a pretty all encompassing stretching routine. So highly recommend it. I also, on my page, if you're a subscriber to it, I have a yoga classes that I teach on there also. So you're welcome to that also. All right, let's see. Let me see what else we got. All right. Hey, Sweden. Good to have you. I was actually in Stockholm this summer. Great country. Okay. I get lower back pain when doing the after swing. So when doing an after swing, how can I avoid it? The American swing better than, is the American swing better than other types of swing? Okay. So good question. Just to be clear, just so we are clear on what's what. The Russian style swing is going to be what I showed, lockout. I won't even show the American swing that's overhead. My thought is if you're going to go overhead, you might as well just snatch. All right. That's my opinion on that. So I don't actually ever even teach the American swing. But if you're talking about lower back pain, it likely means that there's something being broken in the cylinder right here. Okay. That means on the backswing here, you might, even though you might feel like you're taut, you might actually not be as tight as you need to be, because you need to make sure that you're holding structure here. Okay. As soon as what I was saying, you start to release and kyphosis happens, where you get that rounding of that thoracic spine, your lower back's in trouble there. Okay. So that's likely where you might be feeling it. Also at the top of the swing, making sure those glutes and quads are on, because if those glutes aren't on, your swing's going to start to look like that. That's where the lower back starts to receive the kettlebell impact. Okay. So just be aware of that. I always recommend, please don't be a hero with the kettlebell either. If it's hurting you or it's painful, go lighter. I do it all the time. If something doesn't feel right, I always go down a bell size. Okay. So I highly recommend, especially if you're newer to kettlebells, just take the ego out and go with what feels right. And you can always go heavier. There's plenty of bells to choose from. Good question. Thank you, Sweden. All right. We got one on Instagram. Germany, how do you position your feet? Straight ahead? Oh, good question. Straight ahead or slightly pointing outward? Thanks for the session. Okay. You got it, Bert. So listen, that's I didn't really talk about that. The feet position on any type of setup here. Now, this is going to be so dependent. For where my hips are, I'm pretty much set up on a normal hinge, and I'm doing like a deadlift. You're going to see my feet are really close. They're directly under my hips, and then I go in when I do like a barbell deadlift. But obviously, if I go to do that with the kettlebell, well, I'm running out of space because I'm going to end up hitting myself. So I have to go a little wider. So when I set up, my feet are still somewhat closer, but I'm slightly turned out. Okay, that just feels comfortable in my hips. So when I go to set up, same thing on the swing, I go to set up, I'm going to be just slightly out, but it's not a crazy angle there. Okay. That's a really good question though. For some of you guys, you might actually be a little wider. I have no problem with that. It's really going to match whatever's going on with your hip mechanics and your biology, ultimately, like the way your body's designed. So yeah, that's a really good question. Thank you, Germany. Let's see. Do you have a cue, a jumping like movement, pushing down in the ground when accelerating the hips forward? Thank you, from Brooklyn, New York. Hey, Brooklyn. Okay, so that was the cue. If you go back and watch the video from the beginning, that was one of the first things we went over. We talked about the jumping hinge, where you actually leave your feet and then you push through the earth. Now, for those of you guys that are thinking about the swing, I don't even though it is, the trajectory is pushing the bell forward, I don't necessarily like to think of the swing as a movement that is trying to like drive forward, because then I start to think of that, and then the glutes are out, you lose tension there, and the trajectory is downward. So it's almost like you're tall as that bell's going out, and your job is just to keep yourself locked and protect yourself so it's not pulling you out of the stems there. Okay, so the cue I would say on that one would just be that you're really grounded. Okay, that's why I like to be barefoot and really do that stomp beforehand. That's really helpful there. Good question. Thank you. Let's see. We have best way to know if my low back is locked while hinging versus bending. Okay, so lower back on the backswing here is we want to make sure, and this is a really simple way to think of it. The concept of like maximal tension looks like that. Like I'm really tight at the top. That's that breath at the top. That's maximal tension here, okay? I talk about on the back of the hinge here, going backwards like this, being tight in here, okay? So taut, not over squeezing, because then you're going to have too much tension. You're not going to be able to move, okay? You just want to be tight so you're holding structure. That should protect your lower back. Again, if you're feeling it, it likely means the bell's too heavy. Just go down a bell size, but hold structure. Whatever you can do that holds structure and you don't sacrifice form, that's always going to be the way I would break it down for you. Thank you for that question. That's another good one. What else do we have? Okay, I think that's all on Instagram. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all the questions we have, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. This is my first time doing this with you, so hopefully it was really helpful. If you're watching this afterwards, I hope that these cues help. And I just have to say, again, like I announced at the beginning of class, really exciting stuff coming up. If you like my style of coaching, I'm going to have a book coming out with the Kettlebell Kings over early on this year. Okay, so it's in the process of being produced right now. So that's going to be a really nice collaboration with them. For those of you that want to visit more and actually sign up for some of my kettlebell courses, visit my website. It's theformulafitness.com, theformulafitness.com. I have an email list right at the top. It says kettlebell email list. You just click that and sign up. There's also at the bottom, it says email sign up. It's going to just take you there. Just put your email on there and I'll be able to send you all the information as I release the workouts for that. If you want to follow my Instagram, it's Alex Carew at ALEXKARU. I have plenty of kettlebell tips and complexes on there that you guys can follow along with. You can follow my YouTube. It's under this one, or it's on the Formula or Formulit. Everything's Formulit on that, FORMULIT. And I think that's pretty much everything, guys. I really appreciate you coming. I hope you enjoyed the workout. Thanks for this opportunity. Thanks for coming out for right now. We're on a Friday. I appreciate you having me and kicking off the weekend. It's always a nice way to kick it. So if you like what you saw, definitely reach out to me. I'm very accessible. I like to help you guys with this stuff. It's really, really enjoyable for me. And I will see you all next time.